All right, good afternoon. Stéphane de Mistura, the Secretary General Special Envoy for Syria, briefed the Security Council today on the latest diplomatic efforts concerning that country, and he said that he was glad to receive reports of a significant drop in violence, including in aerial bombardment, and in most areas following the agreement reached in Astana. However, despite the nationwide ceasefire announced last December and the de-escalation zones now created to deepen the effort, he said we have received reports of ongoing hostilities, even bombardment between government and armed opposition groups in a few areas, such as Hama, Homs, and Damascus. Regarding the latest talks in Geneva, Mr. de Mistura said there is still a great deal of work to do. He said his team has now prepared the ground for real negotiation, which he hopes will be possible before too long. For the first time, he said he has received the consent of all parties to engage at an expert level. He said he was also pleased that all parties were receptive to the UN convening the 7th round of talks, which is intended to take place sometime in June. And this afternoon, the Security Council will meet on Iraq, and tomorrow we expect there may be consultations on the Democratic Republic of Korea, in which we expect the Undersecretary General for Political Affairs, Jeff Feltman, to brief. And on Libya, as you will have seen over the weekend, we issued a statement in which the Secretary General said he was deeply concerned about the military escalation at the Brak al-Shati air base in southern Libya, and calls on all parties to exercise restraint and restore calm. He is particularly disturbed by the high number of fatalities, as well as the reports of summary executions of civilians, which, if confirmed, could constitute a war crime. The continued insecurity in Libya is a reminder that there is no military solution. The Secretary General therefore urges all key Libyan stakeholders to recommit to the political dialogue and engage constructively towards that goal. The Secretary General also appreciates the efforts of a number of regional and neighboring countries for their contributions aimed at strengthening the dialogue between key stakeholders in support of the overall UN-led process. And the 70th session of the World Health Organization's decision-making body, the World Health Assembly, opened today in Geneva, attended by delegations of all member states. Of all members of the World member states, the Health Assembly determines organizational policies and approves the proposed program budget. This year, as you know, member states will also elect a new Director General, and we expect that election to take place tomorrow. And our friends at UNHCR, in partnership with Google, today launched a new website that aims to dispel myths and misconceptions about the Syrian refugee crisis. The website, called Searching for Syria, combines UNHCR data and Google search trends to provide answers to the 5 most common questions that people around the world are asking about the crisis. The answers are delivered through rich multimedia contents, such as refugee profiles, short editorial passages, and videos. The website is available in English, French, German, Spanish, with an Arabic version coming soon. And today is, besides Monday?
Happy Monday.
No, it's the International Day of Biological Diversity. This year's theme is Biodiversity and Sustainable Tourism, and was chosen to coincide with the observance of 2017 as the International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development. The day seeks to highlight how sustainable tourism can have a positive impact on protected areas, habitat restoration, wildlife population, local community engagement, and resource mobilization. It also puts a spotlight on the choice that we have that tourists can make every time they travel to protect the biodiversity of the places they visit. More information online. As soon as we're done here, there will be at 12:30 a press conference on the launch of the Progress and Prospects Report 2017 by the Interagency Task Force on Financing for Development. Speakers will be Hu Hongbo, the Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs, and Shari Spiegel of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. And tomorrow, 12:30, there will be a briefing here on the Intergovernmental Agreed Conclusions and Recommendations of the 2017 ECOSOC Council Forum on Financing for Development. Follow-up. And I wanted to flag an event the Secretary General will participate in a week from tomorrow. On Tuesday, May 30th, the Secretary General will deliver an address on climate action mobilizing the world at New York University's Stern School of Business. The Secretary General's formal remarks will be followed by a conversation with young people, the business community, civil society, and others on how to address the crucial challenges of climate change and seize the opportunities for climate action. And we'll be sending out invitations to you a bit later today. I will stop here. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Yesterday, many countries gathered together in Saudi Arabia, which they are in the list of human rights abuse by UN, and President Trump spoke to them, and he never mentioned human rights. He started selling guns to them. I was wondering if Secretary General has any comment about that meeting.
I think we're looking and reading the speech that the President delivered in Saudi Arabia with interest. Mr. Klein.
Yes, you mentioned the World Health Organization, and as you're probably aware, there's been an article reporting on excesses in travel budgets or criticisms of perceived excesses in travel budgets for WHO employees, I think in excess of $200 million a year. I realize that WHO has its own separate governance structure, but the UN Secretariat has also received criticism on the same score about many exceptions that have been made to rules and procedures on travel, lodging, air, etc. I'm wondering what efforts are being undertaken by the Secretary General and his staff to rein in travel expenses, enforce the rules that are in place, etc.
I think, as you'll recall, since he's come into office, Antonio Guterres has put out a number of directives to staff the Secretariat, over which he has authority, on limiting the amount of travel to necessary travel only. He's also has asked DPKO and Department of Field Service to look at how we use our air assets in our peacekeeping missions, which would also include the cutting down as much as possible on the number of special flights. I think the Secretary General is extremely aware of the cost of the monies that is entrusted to us, and he would like to see a reduction in number of expenditures, and he's asked his managers to look at that. As for himself, he has also cut down drastically on the delegations and the number of people that travel with him.
For example, is there any effort being made to cut down on the number of conferences and in-person attendance at those conferences, as opposed to using, Skype, etc.?
I think that's obviously there are two things.
I just had a related question
Sure.
to that, because there's been reports again of criticism of monies being budgeted for this year and next year for example, the migration summit or migration conference, both on the travel and on use of consultants as opposed to in-house staff. So,
we have work that needs to be done. We have mandates that need to be implemented. That needs to be done in the way that uses the public monies as wisely as possible. I think one of the directives the Secretary General gave was, in fact, on cutting down on travel unless absolutely necessary, and the increased use of video conference. That being said, there is also a calendar of intergovernmental conferences that are organized at the behest of the member states. They take place in different places around the world. But I think the Secretary General, more than anybody in the Secretariat, is fully aware of the need to try to rein in cost as much as possible. Mr. Lee.
Something else I want to ask about the announcement about Ms. Kang. But first, since you read out this statement on Libya, who does the Secretary General believe committed the executions in the air base? Some people are saying it is, including Human Rights Watch, are saying that it was the forces aligned with the UN-recognized government. So I'm just wondering, is there a reason that the statement doesn't distinguish, like, who did what? And does it change the recognition or the view?
The statement reflects what we know and what we know at the time of the statement.
Okay, but that was
a question.
Okay, I wanted to ask you. And obviously, there are many people congratulating Ms. Kang. I just wanted to know how it relates to that. It seems like she was asked, and she said that she's got the appointment because based on knowledge she's gained while at the UN, and et cetera. She was questioned at JFK Airport by South Korean media. And so the question has arisen. There's a staff. I just want to know what the provisions are. There's staff regulations and rules that say whatever knowledge you gain while working for the UN, you cannot deploy at a government. So given that she used this very word, I just wanted to know, how does it work at the UN to ensure? I know that Ms. Malcora, there was something similar, but just is there guidance from the Secretariat to say what can and cannot be used when you go immediately from the Secretariat to a government?
First of all, I think I would add my congratulations to her. Second of all, I have no doubt that Ms. Kang will live up to the highest ethical standards as it pertains to the issues you raise. Third, I think there is a difference between experience and knowledge, and I think the way the rules are written, it's about using specific knowledge of things as opposed to experience one gains over one's professional life. Mr. Sato.
Thank you, Stéphane. We've just known the USG, Mr. Feldman will make a brief at tomorrow's Security Council consultation. How will Secretary General to expect this brief's impact on tomorrow's consultation?
Well, I think we'll have to wait to see what the impact is. What is clear is that for us, the DPRK is openly defying Security Council resolutions with its accelerated ballistic missile testing activities. These actions threaten regional and international security. We call on the DPRK to stop further testing and allow space to explore the resumption of meaningful dialogue. Linda.
Thank you, Steph. I feel compelled, as always, to ask this question about North Korea, which is, at this point, is there any talk or any developments in terms of the SG getting involved directly or even somewhat directly?
None that I can share. Yes, Iftikhar.
Thank you, Stéphane. Has the Secretary General commented on the elections in Iran, which from all accounts seem to be fair and well participated? Has he sent a letter to President Rouhani?
The Secretary General congratulates the people and the government of Iran on the successful conduct of the presidential elections and President Rouhani on his re-election. He looks forward to continued cooperation with the President and his government on issues of common interest. Yep.
On my question, you said UN is looking at it with interest. Could you put more lights on it? Could you comment
That's
a bit
as
more?
much light as I have in my pocket right now. Mr. Lee.
I just wanted to ask you. I went to something on Friday across the street at IPI, and the force commander of MINUSMA in Mali asked him something that I've asked you here in this room about the sharing of technology between different contingents, and the complaint that, for example, Chadians don't have night vision goggles and other security equipment that the European contingents in MINUSMA had. And he said that is just how it is, that every country comes with their own equipment. He didn't describe any provision for trying to share it and kind of equalize the degree of risk covered. So can you clarify, what is DPKO's position on different delegations from different incomed and resourced countries coming to serve in Mali, and who faces the risk of getting blown up by IEDs?
Obviously, I'm not going to contradict what the force commander may have said, but as you know, the troop contributing, the units come with their own equipment. We obviously also sometimes we have to provide the equipment, but it is clear that the safety and security of our troops is something that is shared. That concern is shared by the mission as a whole, and any mission as a whole will try to protect all of the troop contributing countries as much as possible.
I'm sure the concern is shared. What I'm wondering is whether the night vision goggles and other equipment are in fact shared.
Well, I think the work that one contingent may do to provide for the security of the rest of the mission is obviously of common interest. Olga.
Thanks, Stephen. There were reports that Syrian Homs is liberated from ISIS as of yesterday. Do you have any information on the situation in the city?
No, not anything beyond what Mr. de Mistura said. Matthew.
I want to ask, on the Board of Inquiry report into the death of Michael Sharp and Zeta Catalan, can you confirm that it's due July 31st and will go to Mr. Drennan? Can you say whether the Board of Inquiry report into Garaway, Somalia, which took place before that, has in fact been concluded and if it will be made public? And I wanted to ask again on what I'd asked Farhan on Friday, whether Mr. Drennan, given issues that have arisen about his own staff representative saying that reports have been buried, whether he can do some kind of a press conference.
I don't have anything for you on Mr. Drennan on the second part of your question. On the first part, the particular BOI on the DRC will be done by the end of July.
Yes.
Tikar.
Just a point of information. Will you be announcing the results of the election to the post of WHO Director General?
It's not up to us to announce. It will be announced by the World Health Assembly. If we have the information, we'll share it with you. Thank you.